Good morning, my dear students. So today, in the plant protection class, we are going to discuss the insect pest of legumes. The legumes, you all know, so there are several kinds of legumes we are using for our food purposes. So it may be from the string bean, green gram, black gram, cowpea, and wing bean and mung bean. So there are different type of the beans is being used by the people. Why we are preferring the beans? Because of this is the low cost protein source, right? We call it as a low cost or poor man's meat. Why we call it as? So because these legumes you can grow anywhere in any climatic conditions, and also it is called as the balanced and healthy diet and highly recommended by the medical professionals. So because the low in fat and low in glycemic index and with a balanced source of all sort of nutrition including minerals. So therefore the legumes is a safe food for all stages of people. Other than that, in the agricultural point of view, we can grow these legumes because it's a short lifespan crops. Therefore, we can grow it as an interseasonal crops in between the main crops. So if you want to rotate, you can choose legumes, right? You can choose legumes and you can break even the pest cycles. Instead of following, you can use these legumes as an interseasonal crops. And this is highly suitable for if the soil is not much fertile, or if your soil is needed continuous nitrogen, so then you can use these legumes to fix the nitrogen into the soil instead of application of these inorganic fertilizers. So for these all sort of beneficial characters of the legumes, so therefore we consider these legumes as an important for agricultural in the food point of view, crop production point of view, and pest control point of view, and the soil health management point of view. So for all sort of view, the legumes are very, very important. For example, if you are taking the soybean, high protein, but and also it consists high amount of fat too, right? High amount of fat too. For example, if you are taking the groundnuts, so they are consisting high amount of fat. So normally, whatever the food, the legumes we are using as a food, we are using that oil content or fat less legumes. Whatever the legumes is consisting high amount of fat, we are using for food after the extraction of the oil, that the residues we are using for the feed for the animals. So therefore, the animal husbandry point of view also, these legumes are very, very important. So nowadays, you all know the COVID-19 as well as the import ban of the government. So now the legume prices are very high. So because they are encouraging to cultivate these legumes in Sri Lanka. So in the legumes cultivations, there are so many insect pests are hurdles. Because some insect pests are major hurdles, some insect pests are minor hurdles. Normally, if you are taking the legumes for the pest study, we call it as an borer complex. Right? We call it as an borer complex. And if you are taking the, especially we call it as an pot borer complex for whole crops. So if you are taking the cabbage family crops, so we call it as an caterpillar complex, Lepidopterans. Here also, Lepidopteran and the dipterans and the some hemipterans, we call it as an pot borer complex instead of caterpillar complex. So these are the boros, gram caterpillars, red gram plume moth, and green gram potbug. So caterpillar or the lentil pot borer, blue butterflies, red gram pot fly, stem fly, spotted pot borer, pear leaf miner. These pot borers, some of the pot borers are polyphagous. The polyphagous mean so they can consume more than a one legume species. Some are unique, so they can choose only particular legume. For example, if you are taking the plume moth, right? So red gram plume moth, they prefer highly on the red gram. We call it turtle, right? We call it as a turtle. And the other things, so other than the pot borer, we also call it as a sap feeders. The sap feeders belongs to dipteran. So red gram potbug and the leaf hoppers, the green plant bugs, green bugs and the sting bugs and red gram mites. So mites is not an insect. So other also from the hemipterans. So these we call it as sap feeders. While they are sucking the sap, they are transmitting the viral diseases. Therefore, these insects are highly important when you are cultivating the legumes in your field. We will go one by one. The first is a gram caterpillar. The gram caterpillar is a polyphagous pest. So we call it as, in the entomologically, we call it as this pest as an Chelicoverpa armigera. Don't confuse with, there are two. One is we call it as an armivore, Spodoptera litura. That is a leaf feeder mainly. The gram caterpillar, mainly they are initially leaf feeder, then is a fruit feeder and fruit feeder. This is also polyphagous, bro. So other than the legume family crops, all other crops, especially tomato, right, and cotton. So these are major pests. We call it as a polyphagous major pest. Entomologically, we call it as an Chelicoverpa armigera. Belongs to Noctuidae. The moths are active in night. That's what we call it as an Noctuidae. Belongs to Lepidoptera, order Lepidoptera. Right? So it's a notorious polyphagous. So it can damage 46 to 67% of the lost in red gram. It's an estimated lost in red gram. But if you are commonly we are taking it more than 50% damage, it can cause in any crops. Why? Their target is an economically important part of the crop. For example, if you are taking the string bean, their target is to eat string bean seeds, right? So if you are taking the red gram, so our economic important part of from the legumes is the seeds, right? Their target also the seeds. Therefore, the conflict, right? Therefore, the conflict. If they are leaf feeder, then there will not be much economic losses, right? And if, for example, if you are taking even a one larva present in a particular legume crop, so it can cause 34% of these production from the one plant, right? If the one plant is producing 200 grams of seeds, then the 31st% will be lost if it is not managed properly of this pest. Therefore, we call it as this is a one of the major pests in legume. Any sort of, all sort of legumes it can attack, mainly economically important part of a legume crop, mainly pots. Right? We will study the biology or description of the pest. So if you are taking the moth, this is a bigger moth, right? Compared to the other moth, this one is a bigger moth, right? Bigger moth. So stout with the dark yellow to olive gray. It's a four wings. So it's a confused with the olive gray to yellowish, right? Olive grays to yellowish and or brown wings, right? We can see the brown wings, and also you can identify that pest easily. So conspicuous the brown spot, right? Conspicuous brown spot on the forewings, right? Conspicuous brown spot in the forewings, right? So this is you can see here, right? So conspicuous brown spot here and here, right? Two brown spot. And if you are taking the hind wings, you see the smoky wavy shading, right? Smoke wavy shade or the black shading, the hind wings. The hind wings pale with a dark apical border. This is a dark border, right? Shade, black color shade is an identification character of the moth. So if you're taking an egg, the female, right? The female lays egg in night. especially not night. So in between the day and night, right, mean late evening, at the time of sun started, dusk we call it as a, so dawn, right? The dawn period time. So it can lay eggs, dawn and the dusk, right? So is they are laying eggs singly. They're laying eggs singly. You see the size. The egg is initially the creamy white or transparent. It's like the sago pearl, right? Like the sago pearl, they are laid in the tender shoots of the plant. Tender shoots as well as in pot initiation time, female come and lay. So therefore, we have to be very careful at the time of flower initiation. So if you are going, if you are observing the moths in night, you can use set up light traps in the night. If you are observing the moths, then you have to be very careful. So the incidences can happen anytime, right? So you have to be very careful from the flower initiation until harvesting. So they can cause severe damages because one female can lay 300 to 400 eggs. For example, if you are taking the one lajam, right? So in the one lajam land, so normally farmers called as a 400 land, 400 plant land, 800 plant land, 600 plant land. Right? 400 plant means so you can plant 400. You can plant 400 plants in a one large, right? One large. So the female can able to lay 300 to 400 eggs. If it is laying one plant per egg, the whole plant will be damaged, or the heterotrophic conditions will be formed if it is not properly monitored. Therefore, egg period is 2 to 4 days. In 2 to 4 days, this egg will be catched, right? Initially, this is a transparent, and later, if it is a lava is developing inside, it's turned into brownish color, right? So brownish color. This is a complete life cycle of this pest. You see from the egg, right? Initial stage lava, right? So very minute, so pinhead shape, pinhead size, very small. Then it can grow and grow and grow through the several instars and finally become a bigger one. So nearly 5 centimeter, nearly 5 centimeter long lava. Imagine that how it can eat, right? How it can eat. So how it can eat if it is not, right? How it can eat, it is not properly managed, right? How it can eat if it is not properly managed. So full grown lava is nearly, I told you, as I told you, is 40 to 48 millimeter. It's nearly 5 centimeter it can grow, right? Earlier, this is a dark green color, but it time to time, if it's an insta development is going, so it will turn into greenish to dark green, so sandalwood color. And also prominent marks you can observe like stripes. And if it's a full grown lava, you can see the in between the segments. So this for spiracle openings, you can easily observe spiracle, black color spiracle openings, right? And also you can observe the very tiny hairs distributed around the body, right? You see this one, right? This one is lava. So so therefore you mark with a white brown line, so prominent white lines along the lower part of the sides. Larval period is nearly about 18 to 25 days. Larval period is about nearly 18 to 25 days. The pupa, so once the larva grown fully, or I mean 18 to 25 days, later it will get down from the plant and it will go into the soil. It will make an earthen cocoon and pupate inside. We call it as an optec type pupa will be formed by this pest. So from this pupa, the adult can emerge in 60 to 21 days, depending on the climatic conditions, right? Depend on the climatic condition. Therefore, that's how we are emphasizing that before starting the planting any planting, so we had to go for a plowing because of to expose these pupas from the previous season, right? Previous seasons. You see, so this is the pupa, right? And the damage of these crops, right? So normally The young caterpillars feed tender foliage. Right? I told you immediately after catching, they are eating the tender foliage. Thereafter, when it grows, it can bore. Right? It can bore the pots, and also the larva will not go fully in the pots, so they can able to make a round hole, right? Able to make a round hole on the outside of the pot cover, right? We call it as a pericarp, right? In the pericarp, they make a hole and go in, only thrusting the head inside. The head and neck region will be inside the pot. The whole body will be in outside. So it can easily eat all the seeds. But the seed damaged, you will get an empty pots, large round on each locule. You see, large round hole. That is the thing, so damage here, round hole. See, eating into enders, eating into enders. So the second one, so now I will discuss the management for the whole legume pest, right? Common management, right? Second one is a red gram plume moth. It's a plume moth, I told you, is a specific pest for the red gram, host specific, we call it as. That's how this plume moth attack is less, or incidence is less in Sri Lanka, because the cultivation of the red gram is very less. We call it as a lentil. No, not a lentil, turda. We call it as a turda. So entomologically, this pest is called, there are two species, different kind of, we call it as, and one is prominent, Exelastis atomosa. Right? Exelastis atomosa is prevalent even Sri Lanka, where the small one or two plants cultivate, the turtle cultivated. So other both, they are in common in India. So India, they are cultivating high amount of turtle. So Spinatus scapher, we call it as a Spinatus scapher, Exelastis atomosa, Spinatus scaphers, those two species are making damages in this crop. This is belongs to Pheritrophidae, right? We call it as a Pheritrophidae. So you would have studied in the old Lepidopteran belongs to many pests from the Lepidoptera belongs to Noctidae and Pyralidae. Right? Some of the other groups are also important. One is the Pheritrophidae. Right? You would have studied in other families, Arctidae. So hairy caterpillars. Arctidae would have studied in the oil crops, right? Arctidae belongs to Lepidoptera, right? Belongs to Lepidoptera. So this is specific to red gram. So moth is a cylinder. We call it as a plume moth. So because of this easy identification, because it not consist, it is consisting pair of wings. But if the person observing first time this moth, so they will consume this is a new variety or something, because it's each and every fore and hind wings having branches, cleft wings. Wing have some cleavage. So for the fore wings, two branches, hind wings, three branches, right? So divided into two parts, hind wings, three parts, especially I told you, hind wings, three parts, and fore wings, two parts. That's a fringe-like border, like thrips. Thrips you would have studied in the entomology, fringed wing. Like that, the plume moth also, it is like a fringe wing, not a true fringe wing, but a fringe. Eggs are minute, as like that, singly laid in the flower buds and pods. You see, so at the time of flower initiation, female moth lay eggs. Egg period is nearly 4 to 5 days. Right, egg period is nearly 4 to 5 days. So this is the life cycle of this pest from the egg. This is a larva, right? The pupa here. You see pupa here. This is an adult. We will see one by one. So larva is a full-grown caterpillar, is nearly about 12 millimeter. You compare it for the Calica verpa, 48 millimeter nearly. Here it is 12 millimeter. Compare the sizes. It's very simple. These are very small and specific one. The fringed, short hairs and spine all over the body. That's how I told you here. These caterpillars consist so many hairs. These are branch hairs. Branch hairs. So easily you can easily identify, because this is not a reddish color. This is not a green color. So if it is there in the leaf, You can easily identify because this is in between the gray and the sandalwood, in between this color. Right? Larval period is nearly about 1 month, so maximum of 1 month. So it can complete 14 days if the food is abundant, climate is congenial. Right? The pupation is on the surface of the pot and burrows infested pot. See, you see this one after feeding, larva completely feeding, right? Completely feeding, finished the feeding, then it will pupate over the pot. Sometimes some larva pupate inside the pot. So you can, so mainly they will pupate outside. Otherwise, it is dangerous for this insect. Therefore, they make pupa outside of the plant parts, right? Outside of the plant. So pupa is a fringed with the short hairs here. The fringe with the short hairs look like a larva. It's confusing whether it is larva or the pupa, right? Larva or the pupa. It's a confused. So the pupa looks like a larva except for the color. That's what I told you. It's a confused one, which is a brownish color, right? Which is a brownish color. So damage and the symptoms. So I told you the tiny caterpillar there scrapes the pot surfaces, cut a hole, right? They make a cut, this round shape hole, and in through that they insert the head and eat like Helicoverpa. So they thrust their head inside through this hole and try to scrapping and eating the all the seeds, right? All the seeds. Caterpillar especially their target is to green pot, right? Green pots mean young pots, so they have that's what they can easily damage, you know. So young pots they are targeting and feeding completely and eating away all the seeds. If the all the seeds eaten away, or if it is damaged, they you cannot use it, or because market quality will be less now. So if it is a damaged one, so consumer preference will be low. So therefore, you have to be if the spot is not available, they can easily eat the flower buds as well. They are damaging flower too. Flower buds. So if it is damaged buds, mean it will not fertilize, will not form pods, it will wither away, right? Damaged flower buds will fall down, right? Fall down. So therefore, it can cause severe bud drop, flower drop, pod drop. Therefore, you can imagine that how much yield loss you can expect, right? How much damages or yield loss you can expect. These are the summary of these damages. Third insect is a red gram pot fly. So red gram pot fly. So these are also the common one, right? So not in specific to red gram. So this is common, but why we call it as red gram pot fly? Because earlier the first identification of this pest in the pot red gram. That's what they have given the name. The entomological name of the pest is the melon agromysa, because of the melon agromysa obtusa, right? Melon agromysa obtusa, right? So belongs to Agromycidae. So in that belongs to Agromycidae, there are several flies, right? You would have studied in different crops with their different names of this pest, right? So Lyromysa trifoli, would have studied the leaf miner, Lyromysa trifoli, Agromycidae. So you would have studied in the rice pest, rice gallmitch, right? Also Hydrilla sisaki, right? We call it as a gallmitch. It belongs to Agromycidae, right? Agromycidae diptera. So 80% of the damage of the crop is reported. So because this pest attack, you can expect if the condition is with cold conditions of the plant is dense. Your plant is dense, you can expect this pot fly attacks, right? Pot fly attack. So adult is a black fly with an strong legs and ovate abdomen. Eyes are distinct. So in the next picture, you can see this is. So you may confuse this way, maybe house fly or something, but this is the black fly. So we call it as a red gram pot fly. It's a small black fly. So they are scrubbing and eating the epidermis of the leaves. right? Epidermis. And through the ovipositor, they can make a punch and lay the eggs inside the leaves, right? You see, so the fly pierce the pericarp with an ovipositor and lay the eggs, right? Flower buds or flower buds, so anywhere it can thrust and lay eggs. So egg is inside the leaf epidermis. From that egg, so nearly 3 days after the laying of eggs, so young ones we call it as a maggots, because flies young one we call it as a maggot. Why? Because these are legless larvas, right? So legless larva maggot. The female can able to lay the 4 eggs per pot, 80 eggs in lifetime. You imagine that one female can lay 4 eggs per pot. It means 4 maggot per pot. And 80 eggs, it can damage 80 pots. Maximum of it can damage 80 pots. Otherwise, if it is laying 4, 20, right? So within the 3 days, maggots will come out. These tiny maggots burrow the pots, means, right? Grabbing and eating and grabbing and eating the whole junk seeds. So therefore, the pods, no visual symptoms you cannot observe because these are very tiny, no? So penetrate inside, eat all these inside, all these content inside. And also it will pupate inside sometimes, or mainly otherwise though, through the maggot made a hole, no? Through that hole, it will come out, right? So come out, so without rupturing the sheet coat, it will come out and pupate outside, right? Pupate outside. Some, if the condition is okay, or sometimes some conditions are not conducive to pupate outside, sometimes it can pupate inside the pot also. Barrel shaped pupa, we call it as a quacktail type pupa. So if the larva, second and third instar larva, both the cotyledon get damaged, right? Cotyledon get damaged means if the seedlings and the seedling cotyledon get damaged, then the plant will die, right? The plant will die. So larval period about nearly 6 to 10 days. Larval period is nearly 6 to 10 days. So it the condition, if the moisture is abundant, I told you this need it's a cold larva, right? The moisture condition is prevailing, it can complete 2 life cycle, right? 2 life cycle within an year, right? Full grown maggot pupate inside the larval groove of the pods, right? Go through that. So after 18 to 12 days, nearly 2 weeks, so adult will emerge, the black fly, right? Black fly. Damage and symptoms are damaged seeds are unfit for consumption. So you can expect the pericarp. A whole endosperm will be eaten away by the maggots, right? So discoloration of the infested pods. If they are eating, because why? They are scraping and eating the green content. That's how the color will change. If the color changed, then the consumer quality and the consumer preference will be low, right? Consumer will be low. So if they are making holes, they are secondary infestation. There are chances for the secondary infestation of the bacteria. That's how the maggot attacked plants are get rot, right? Get rot. Another insect is there. We call it as the bean fly, Opimia fascioli, like the Liromyza trifoli in the bean, the tomato plant. Here is then Opimia fascioli, right? Opimia fascioli, or belongs to same family, Agromycidae, Diptera. Several names had been given, right? Agromyza, Melon, Gromyza, the several names has been given. Finally, they given a name, specific name for this bean fly as Opimia fascioli. So their target is to attack in a seedling stage, nearly 2 leaf stage. Within a 2 weeks time, if you have protected your crops, then the incidence will be very less. Right, so this incident distribution of the pest commonly is not much severe. All around the world, you can expect, except one African country. In other areas, it's not much severe. So adults lay eggs on the leaves, right? Adults lay on the leaves nearly in the early, especially in the early mornings, right? Upper side of the leaves, the near the midrib, close to the PTO. Why they are eating? Why they are laying eggs near the midrib, closer to the petiole is so from the laid in between epidermis and spongy parenchyma, in between the leaves, spongy by making a pierce through the ovipositor and laying eggs in between the very closer to the midrib and the petiole. Why? So emerging maggot easily bore into the midrib and go into that xylem, right, or the translocation point, and eat the entire inner content of the stem. Quickly reach the cotyledon. If it is damaged the cotyledon, then the plant will die. Earlier it will dry, then finally it will die. 10 to 15% of the leaf puncture marks contain the eggs. Other puncture marks are eaten. So while eating, they are making the puncture. So egg are oval to milky white. This we call it as an off-white egg, right? Off-white egg. This is a size nearly from the 0.3 to 0.39 millimeter to long. So because it's a research finding, if you are going to specialize in agricultural biology, you have to do a research. So during the research, if you are studying a particular insect, you have to measure all these things. That's the thing. So finding because it's an identification character of a particular insect for easy management. The first insect larva eat leaf blade tissues, then entering the midrib and eventually entering and boring the stem. Finally, it will reach the cotyledon, right? Second is instar larva, you see the midrib and petiole, 2 to 2.4 days. And third instar larva in epidermis, and finally, it will reach the cotyledon. Once the cotyledon get damaged, then the lemma and pelia point, right? Leave lamina and petiole joining point will get damaged. Then the leaf will be pulled away easily, right? Pulled away easily. The pupation is depending on the stage and the condition of the host plant. Stage, at which stage, the condition. So seedling stage beneath the epidermis of the stem or near the soil surface, the larva will get pupa. Or in the mature plant at the junction of leaf, lamina and the petiole, right? Leaf, lamina and the petiole. So they are making the pupa. The pupa is a barrel shape. Cephalic end mean head end. Is a pointed and posterior end is a slightly rounded. You will rear these lavas and you will study the biology, and at the time you will look at very carefully how these shapes and morphological characters are present in the pupa. 12 visible segments. So 12 visible segments you can easily identify from the pupa. The pupa is initially the yellowish color. It will turn black, brownish and even darker ends. Right? Mature pupa is a dark brown. The pupa area size is there. So this is an adult flies. Right? This is adult fly. So if the seedling is other than the legumes, this is also polyphagous. Other than the legumes, you can see this insect in the seedling stages of many crops, right? The problem is the farmers, they're confused with whether this one is a housefly or the pest. That is the problem. The you have to be very careful. So you have to take management or the monitoring of the field continuously from the transplanting, because so normally we are not doing the transplanting for these legume crops, but if the seed sown, this pest is targeting at the two leaf stage, right? So therefore if you're going for early mulch, then you can easily escape from this pest incidents. Early mulch, And also you should allow your plant, you should not irrigate that field, because they are cold loving, the moisture loving insect, no. So if you are not giving too much of water, then you can easily escape. Damages and the symptoms are oviposition puncture. You can see the leaves, so many puncture marks. Some puncture marks, 10 to 15%, you can expect the eggs, others are feeding portion. So if the leaf, its green matter content is removed, the leaves earlier, the later it will become a jello, and finally the basal portion of the leaf will get on yellowish color and completely it will dry. And drooping of the first two leaves, because the leaf get damaged, so they are drooping and leaves, so drying or sometimes wilting of the plants. If the larval is mining continuously and the eating and damaging the translocation uh, organelles, then your plants will show wilt symptoms, right? Wilt symptoms. So larval mines in the underside of the leaves sometimes so appears as a silvery curvy stripes, right? Silvery curvy stripes. Yellowing of the leaves and stunting of the growth, even plant mortality, die. I told you, it's depend on the age of the crop get attacked. Root shoot junction, the root shoot junctions area appears swollen, so because the maggot producing some saliva, so this saliva consisting so much of enzymes, so these enzymes can change the physiology of the plant, so hormonal balance of the plant. Therefore, this area will get swallowed, mean making the tumor-like appearances, right? So at the time, so it can able to produce more amount of adventitious root in the swollen area of the stalks, because the hormone is accumulated. So this accumulated hormone, especially the gibberellins and IBA and IAA, induce the formation of many roots, right? Induce of the formation of these roots. So this is a C. So the two leaf stage, the leaves, it drying, wilting, it's a confused whether it is attack of the disease, especially damping off, or it is an attack with an pest, this flies, bean flies. You see, this is a maggot, how it is produced maggot inside the stem, young stem. You see, this is a puncture marks consisting eggs and the feeding point. This is an adult. You see where the adult is. So that's how the farmers, if they are maintaining the dry condition with an early mulch, so you can easily escape from the seedling attack. You can easily escape from the seedling attack. You see attracted portion, the growing point get damaged. The plant leaves are withering here. So leaves are showing the death. The leaves are, this point will die, right? Because the translocation organelles get damaged. No? So management. So normally, why I am taking this one is management zone, and I will go to the next, but I will tell you because it's a seedling specific one. So normally the peak cultivation, we are cultivating this one is after the rice cultivation, no? Or some farmers they are cultivating continue in between the main season. So therefore the seeding end, the March, early right before onset of rain, right? Before onset of rain, if you are cultivating, you can easily escape from the colonization. And also straw mulch, right? Mulch. As I told you, so after sowing, you can go for the mulch and maintain the optimum moisture condition. That's why our farmers are cultivating these legumes in the residual moisture. They are not irrigating. But in the off season, if you are growing, you have to go for an irrigation. So if you are giving an over irrigation, then there are such chances for these incidents. That's how. So you have to maintain the residual moisture. And the resistant varieties are limited, but you can go for an earthing up or seed treatment, carbosulfan or formathion before at the time of planting, though it will give at least 2 weeks protection. Right? Seed dipping, seed treatment, 2 weeks protection. Actual solvent extracts also you can use it, but this attack is positively correlated with the moisture. Through the water management you can easily moisture that pest. Water management plus mulch you can easily escape. Next one is a spotted pot borer, right? Spotted pot borer, we call it as an Marussia, right? So Marussia vitrata, right? Maruca vitrata. The we called sometimes we called as a field bean pot borer, right? Spotted pot borer or field bean pot borer belongs to Pyralidae, Lepidoptera, right? Belongs to Pyralidae Lepidoptera. So I am going to stop here with, and if you have any questions, so you can ask, right? You won't ask any questions, so you can ask. So I will continue this section in next coming class.